afternoon, Revolution Radio. Yes, it is Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, which means it's time to kick off the weekend with some incredible knowledge for the next 2 hours from our host, Jeanice Barcelo, as she welcomes you to her show, Birth of a New Earth. All right, Jeanice, give us what you got. Revolution Radio's ears are all yours.
Good afternoon, Revolution Radio. You are listening to Birth of a New Earth. My name is Jeanice Barcelo. I am your host for this amazing show, and we are going to take another incredible journey today with a very, very special guest. His name is Chris Kehler. And Chris is a holistic energy practitioner. He's doing some of the most powerful energy work that I've ever experienced. He uses pendulum dowsing, this incredible pyramid that I'm hoping to turn on the video today so people can see this geometric pyramid that he's using to pull out entities and viruses and parasites and all manner of exciting things. He's using sacred geometry and various other tools to neutralize the root causes of health problems, any health problem. And in my case, he's even been using these tools to help me neutralize some long-standing emotional problems. So Chris is certified in quantum touch, in live blood analysis, and radionics. And he's the owner of Chris Kehler Holistic Quantum Point Technologies. And he also has an ideal protein weight loss clinic. So that's a handful of stuff that you're doing. Chris, can you tell me a little bit about this blood stuff that you're doing? Blood analysis?
Yeah, I'd love to. Live blood analysis, it's a real neat way of looking at your blood to see if there's any disharmony or any kind of problems happen within your body. So basically it's taking a small drop of blood from your finger, you put it in a microscope designed for live blood analysis, dark field analysis, whatever you want to call it, and you see it in real time on a computer screen right in front of your eyes. So it's your blood, it's your health problem in there. So when I use it, I generally like to use it for looking for parasites. And you can also see different things in the blood, like if the blood is sticking together, if it's clumpy, you can see crystals in the blood. You can see different types of bacteria. So I like to use it with the energy work that I do as a complement. So a person in my office can see in real time their blood and see what's going on in it.
Are you doing blood analysis to look for things like heavy metal poisoning, for example? Because I'm always at the forefront of my mind is the chemtrails and everything that we're being exposed to, radiation. Right. Do you find that kind of stuff in your blood analysis?
It's kind of hard to see that. You really have to know what it looks like. Of course, a little sign isn't going to float across the screen saying this is lead poisoning or this is arsenic or whatever. You really have to know what to look for. You have to be really trained in what you do. So again, I like to use it as a complement. But my pendulum will generally is going to pick up any kind of heavy metal problems in your body.
I see. So how did you get into doing this, Chris?
Well, good story. I'm going to tell you. About 6 years ago, my first wife passed away, unfortunately. She had a rare disease called scleroderma. And that was before, of course, I got into this type of work. I used to be in the printing industry. For 28 years, I ran printing presses. I was in management at a local newspaper here in Winnipeg. And when she passed away, my financial planner looked at me and says, Chris, time to take some time off. He's looking at my portfolio and says, you can go ahead and take some time off if you want. So I did. So at 45 years old, I retired, sat in my backyard, and drank beer for a couple months. So I thought to myself, I gotta get my life back together and restart things a little bit. So I got back into the gym. I've always been into bodybuilding and working out. And a friend of mine came to visit once for coffee. Her name is Catherine, and we're talking, and she had a health problem too. So she was talking to me about this thing called a foot bath detox. Okay. Because I was in the printing industry for so long, there's a lot of volatile elements along with it, with solvents, inks, paper dust, and that type of thing. So I just looked at it and said, yeah, whatever, give me another beer. So it kind of stuck in the back of my mind. And one day I was walking in one of my local malls, and I saw a sign on somebody's store. It said, foot bath detox. I took a look at the sign, and I said, I think I'm supposed to go in there. So I walked into the place, did a couple of foot bath detoxes, which are really cool. I do them in my office now. Anyway, so this fellow who owns the place, I'm telling him my story, and he starts showing me this thing called muscle testing, applied kinesiology. And I thought, this is kind of cool. So he's showing me how he can wave his hand over my body, tap his fingers, and find a health problem. So we talked a bit more, and long story short, there's a fellow in Winnipeg who teaches a course on it. So I thought, you know what, I got nothing better to do. Let's buy this course and do it. So every day I went to this fellow's store, and he would teach me. Okay, he became my mentor. And as our friendship grew and we started doing more work, he introduced me to other people who work in radionics, which is working with frequencies. Okay, and then that person introduced me to somebody else who works with sacred geometry. So from there, I went to buying courses on dowsing, and then bought the live blood analysis microscope, took that course. Somebody mentioned to me about doing quantum touch, so I bought that course and did that. So within a year and a half, I had done about 5 different courses and found that I'm picking this up pretty darn quick. And I thought, you know what, I could probably do something with this, help some people with some health problems, and make a buck or two along the road. And it ended up, people are banging on my door at home for me to help them. And it just propelled me to this spot where I'm in an office now. I have my own clinic, and I do this for a living, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to sometimes 6 p.m., and it's just been going up and up ever since.
And so what's your success rate?
Success rate, it gets better every day. It's got to be within between 75 and 90% success rate. Generally, most people get success within 2 or 3 sessions, depending on how chronic the health problem is. Lately, I've just discovered how to work with people with very chronic illnesses like MS and diabetes and cerebral palsy and stuff like that. How to open that door so you can get in and help these people.
And what are you finding is like at the root of all these diseases? Is there a common patterns here, or? What
I'm finding in a commonality now, when you're working with energy and you're working in the universal realm of things, okay, within dimensions and time and space and the whole thing, it's a world of quantum physics and quantum mechanics, basically. So if you look at a health problem in 2 different ways, so there's going to be a spiritual or an energy problem combined with a physical problem. So for instance, if you take somebody with diabetes, okay? Now, first of all, I should clarify that anything I say on this program is not intended to cure or treat any kind of health problem, okay? If you took somebody with diabetes, more or less is going to be a problem in the pancreas, okay? An insulin issue. There's also going to be an energy issue. So that energy issue could be an entity, such as, let's say, a spirit that hasn't passed on to the light, could be attached to the pancreas, could be an alien, could be a reptilian alien, could be a zeta reticuli, and it could be a rutilia, okay? It could be a negative energy, such as, let's say, negative green vertical, and we can touch on that later if you like. So there's going to be an energy problem that's causing a bad vibration or a low vibration in that area, so that if there's a physical problem, let's say a parasite or a virus, that parasite or virus is going to go to the lowest vibration of your body, so it's got the highest ability to survive. So by removing the energy problem, then removing the physical problem, then all of a sudden the health problem goes away.
What's this about negative green vertical? What's that?
I've done the research on negative green vertical. There's a doctor named, I'm probably going to get his name wrong. It's Ibrahim Rahim. He did research on the color spectrum of energy They call it negative green vertical because it's opposite of green, and there's no color to it, so they call it negative green. And there's two forms of it. There's negative green vertical and negative green horizontal. Vertical is the bad energy. Horizontal is the good energy. Now, what I use negative green vertical as is I look at it as a highway for negative energies to travel. So it's a wavelength where the negative energies can attach to and go into your body and do whatever they do. So the easiest way to explain it, everybody knows about King Tut, okay? In the 50s, they found his tomb. All these doctors and scientists and researchers went into his tomb, and they pulled out all his toys and his body. And a few years later, they all got sick and died, okay? So they called it King Tut's curse. All right, so basically what that was is negative green vertical energy. So the negative energies that surrounded King Tut at the time, like let's call them guardians, let's call them spirit guides, whatever, use that energy to get to these people. Now, certain pyramids will emit negative green vertical energy. Certain dome structures will emit this negative green vertical energy. So it's used as kind of like a radio wave and a transport system. Now, any pyramid with any kind of break within the base of it or any kind of bend, let's say a half a degree bend, will not emit negative green vertical. So when I'm using my pyramids, I'm using negative green horizontal, which is a good energy.
So I want to back up just a second here because I have some orgonite, in the form of pyramids. For people that don't know what orgonite is, I've been using it to clear chemtrails out of the air and to neutralize electromagnetic frequencies in the space around my room, my house, my property. So some of these units come in pyramid form. Are you saying that they can emit a negative energy?
There's a possibility, but generally if something like that, something with orgonite in it, is going to be a good energy. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. One way you can tell is if you muscle, you can measure the amount of negative green vertical or negative green horizontal that is emitted from these pyramids. That's very.
I just got these devices last night. I was at a biodynamic farming workshop, and they have these metal rods. I don't know if you've seen these, Chris, that you can use to talk to the nature spirits. They're just, I think they're made out of copper, actually. And similar to, working with a pendulum, you can use these rods to ask yes or no questions, that type of thing. Have you seen what I'm talking about?
That I haven't come across anything like that. There's so many different types of energy tools and different apparatus to use for getting answers and channeling your guides. It's impossible. I'm going to turn on my video here. Can you see these things? They're metal rods. Oh, dowsing rods. Okay, yeah.
Dowsing rods. Okay, that's what they are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
People use those for water witching and finding water, but they work just the same thing as a pendulum. It's just a way to get an answer.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I just got these last night so I could use them similar to using a pendulum. I've also been using a pendulum, so I don't function very well using kinesiology on myself, but with these other devices, I think we can get some good answers. I just never heard of this green vertical or green horizontal before.
There's not a lot of, if you go on the internet, there's not a lot of research on it, not a lot of information on it. But for me, basically, if I take a word or a phrase and I put it within my dowsing charts and I ask a question and that comes up as an answer, then you know that it does exist. And then when you remove it from a person and they feel better or a problem changes, then you know there's something to do with it, okay? Doesn't mean that you can see it, taste it, smell it. It's an energy. Just like a radio wave. Can you see, smell, and taste a radio wave? So it is a radio wave of some sort. So when you work with it and things get better, then you know that it exists.
I've been doing, several things have happened over the past month. Okay, one is that my amazing producer, Nick Jordan, who's on the line with us, introduced me to the work of a man named Malachi Martin. And Malachi Martin is no longer alive. He's been murdered. But his work was around exposing the satanic rituals that were happening in the Vatican. And so when Malachi comes across an entity, that somebody's possessed, I mean, it's a major freaking big deal, right? To get rid of those entities, to get rid of those parasites, to get rid of the dark force that is influencing that person's life. So I compare what Malachi Martin does to like what you're doing, and there's another woman, her name is Dr. Barbara Stone. She's going to be on later, April 19th, I think it is. Both of you are also doing work to clear out entities, negative
Correct.
spirits, but there isn't this it doesn't appear to be life-threatening in your case, whereas when Malachi Martin, when somebody called an exorcism, I mean, it is life-threatening for the person doing that. And I wondered if you can talk about the difference between what you're doing and what an exorcism, would be doing.
When I clear out a negative energy, so today, for instance, I had somebody in my office, and this person since 1995 has felt this incredible disconnect to God, to angels, to who she is. And she looked at me and said, I am full of hate, anger, and evilness. She says, if I don't like somebody, I could grab them, throw them to the ground, and step on them. But she's aware of this, which is really unique. So what I've been working with her, and as we peel away the layers with a pendulum and remove energies and do some reconnects and that type of thing, I found that she had the Antichrist in her. Okay, and that doesn't come up very often. Almost on a daily basis, I can pull out satanic entities and the devil out of people, and it's not that big of a deal. But she had the Antichrist, so I thought, okay, I'm in for a bit of a fight. But when I use my pyramid, and with the intent I have and the guides and the angels I work with, it's not that big of a deal. It's just an energy. If you look at it as just a negative energy and you identify it, that's the big thing, is identifying it. So now let's talk about that for a second. If somebody comes to my office and there's one of three things it could be. It could be the devil, Lucifer, or the Antichrist. If you call it the devil and it's really the Antichrist, it doesn't have to go. That's universal law. Just like hide and seek, 1, 2, 3 on Jeanice, but it's really Chris. Jeanice isn't caught, or Chris isn't caught. So that's the way that works. So if you identify it properly and just tell it to go, it might put up a bit of a fight, but it just vanishes. It goes into the etheric realms of the universe and is tucked away forever. So as far as what my views on an actual exorcism is that somebody is going in at a different frequency level and doing battle with whatever is within the person. So they're at a weaker frequency than this entity is. So it's more of a battle. It becomes more of a let's call it like the Exorcist movie itself, or nobody's head ever spins 360 degrees in my office, and nobody ever pukes up green stuff. It just doesn't happen.
That's not very much fun then.
It keeps my office clean.
If you don't get the green puke, I mean, why bother? What is your website, Chris?
My website is chriskehler.net, and I'll spell it out for you. It's CHRISKEHLER.net.
And do you have a website for the foot bath?
Everything's all on one website.
Okay. All right. So you have information about the foot bath and all that stuff for people that are listening. Also, I want to let my listeners know, during the second half of the show, if you want to call in, we'll have Chris work with somebody individually on the air and see if we can effectuate a healing, because a lot of what you're doing is long distance, right, Chris?
Probably 75% of all my clients are in other cities around the world. So working over Skype, working on the telephone, the energies go through that system, and wherever you are, I've worked on people in Australia, London, England, and they feel the energy right away. So it works just as well on the phone as on Skype. So it's really opened the door for me quite a bit to be able to help more people in different areas. So nobody has to fly from London, England to my office for treatment.
Well, I can vouch for feeling the energy when you worked with me. I felt it around my heart. I felt it in my throat, various parts of my body. So I know there was definitely something happening. But for people that are not sensitive to energy, how would they know that what you're doing is working?
Generally, most people who are not sensitive to energies will feel something, because these tools I use are extremely strong. The tool maker I have who makes some, his energy, he's probably one of the strongest energy workers in the entire galaxy, okay? His name is Wayne. He's in Alberta, Canada, and he builds these tools and he sells them, and I sell his tools, but the energy that he puts into them is remarkably unbelievable. Anybody who's ever worked with him knows how strong his energy can be. But if you're not sensitive, you'll feel something. If you feel nothing at all, that doesn't mean it's not working. That just means that your body's not ready to feel it yet, but you still will get the benefits.
Yeah, right on. So I just want to back up, and I want to, on this topic of exorcism compared to what you're doing, the other difference I think is that Malachi was talking about is that there are people who actually make a pact with demons or with the Prince of Darkness or whoever they're, and when they make a pact, and sometimes this runs through a whole family where the family teaches their kids how to be possessed by the same entity, and that entity or group of entities will provide for that family certain benefits in the material world. So maybe that's the difference, is that Malachi is working with people that actually made a pact, and have changed their mind, whereas you're working with people who have hitchhikers. They never consciously made a choice to work with these dark entities.
That is true. I have worked with people who do have something within their soul contract that says that they have taken, let's say, a vow of poverty or a vow of darkness or whatever it is. So when I work within the person's soul contract, those things can be cleared out. So there's going to be negative energies. And today with this person I worked on with the Antichrist, in her soul contract was negative green vertical. So if you take away the pathway for this energy to get in and out of the soul contract, you could then adjust the contract, remove clauses and wording, and readjust it. And more times than often, it's just a matter of adding a musical note to the soul contract, harmonize it at a different level, and then that soul contract now becomes a valid contract. When things go back in lifetimes, it's as easy as just cutting the cord and connection to that one lifetime, and then all of a sudden nothing exists anymore. Okay?
So here's the other question that's coming in as you're talking is, because I listen to so much of Malachi Martin, he's always talking about using the authority of Christ. And I'm not, personally, I'm not even sure that a person named Jesus existed, but Malachi Martin really believed in this being, and really believed that you could use the authority of Christ to exorcise demons from other people. So for you, here you're coming in, I'm assuming you're not Christian or using the energy of Christ, and yet you're able to change up somebody's soul contract? How is that possible? Universal
law. Okay, so if my intent, if my vibration is high enough, which it is, to override all other vibrations, okay, then by my intent and using the pyramid to amplify that intent and amplify the energies, it can be done. So in a sense, I am authorized by a certain degree to change people's soul contracts, or at least harmonize them or adjust them enough that this problem can be dealt with. Now, you talked about Christ. Jesus Christ is an ascended master. He has fully ascended. He's, what I understand, he's not coming back. A lot of people don't believe in all this stuff, and that's completely fine. My background is complete Mennonite. I come from two big, very Mennonite families, and a lot of religion. And as a kid growing up, I just felt very uncomfortable with religion. So my belief system is a little different. But I do draw energy from that ascended master, if you will. Okay, he helps with my pendulum guidance. Anyways, as far as getting rid of that energy, if your vibration is high enough, you can blast through it and make a change. You're allowed to by universal law.
Wow. I wish Malachi Martin would have known that.
A lot of people use different things, okay? Now, when you're talking with universal energies, there's so many different things that you can use. It's what's going to work for you. So for me, when I'm removing, let's say, a demon or the devil from somebody, what I'll do is I'll use the words, by universal law, I command the devil to leave this body, and I'll say it 3 times, okay? Or you can say by Christ's law or God's law or Buddha's law. Whatever your belief system is, whatever works for you, that's what's going to do it.
So it's basically your intention.
It's your intent, and it's what's going to work for you. Some people, a pyramid's not going to work. You might have to use some type of sacred geometry ring or something else. Everybody's different when it comes to energy. Nothing is the same for everybody.
So you use other tools besides the pyramid? You said something about a ring. I don't know anything about that yet.
The rings, they're called Divinity Rings. They look like basketball hoops with a cross in the middle of them that join together. So you use those in tandem, a platinum one at the feet, and you hold a gold one over the head. Now the person is in an energy field of, I think it's 427 hertz, and then when they're within that field, you can command the quantum energy to go in and make changes to the molecules, so you can adjust whatever you need to adjust. I also use tools called beamers, okay? It looks like a piece of copper pipe. I'm holding one in my hands. It's got 2 ends on it, and it has the frequency within it of noble gases, which is helium, argon, krypton, carbon, I forget the other one. Slipped my mind. But with those gases, they go in at different levels and do different things. So I've got one tool. I don't know if anybody knows anything about Slim Sperling. He makes a set of tools almost the same. He doesn't use pyramids, but he uses rings. I've got one of his, it's called an AccuVac coil. And when you use this coil, it looks like a bed spring on somebody. It's going to pull out pain. So I use it a lot for people with pain. They come in and I just use this coil and it pulls out the pain. So different tools have different applications, but all in all, the pyramid I use will work for just about anything.
I wonder if you would be willing to turn on your video so that we can get this in the YouTube later, to turn on your video and show us some of your tools, Chris, so that people can get a visual.
Here is the pyramid. Now, I've got a picture of this on my website. This is called the Silver Light Pyramid. Now, if you look, I don't know if you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pyramids stacked up on each other, okay? So now you've got 5 pyramids, 5 dimensions, so it works for all intents and purposes within the 5th dimension. On this pyramid, I've got a pyramid of shungite. Okay, shungite is very important. New stone that's been found. It's full of different quartz crystal spheres. Okay, they're all perfectly poured crystal spheres from China. There's magnets. There's about 20,000 Gauss worth of magnets in here. There's different sacred geometry targets within here. And when I hold this over somebody's head, give it the instruction, whatever comes up with dowsing, the problem goes away. People actually feel something leaving their body. They might feel a pull. They might feel a pulsing. Generally, that's how long it takes, literally seconds, to remove a health problem or a part of a health problem with this pyramid. Extremely strong.
Is shungite sort of like orgonite, or what's shungite?
Shungite was found in Russia. I forget how long ago. There's a certain area where I think there was a meteor strike many years ago. And they found that there's a lake with this shungite within it. When people went swimming in this lake, their health problems would go away. What shungite is, it's a carbon-based mineral, okay? And if you were to be able to see the molecule of it, it looks like a soccer ball, okay, with the panels and everything. And it's absorbent, so it's going to absorb a lot of things out of your body. The neat thing about shungite is that you can program it. So if you look at, I've got a beamer here, I've got a shungite pyramid on it, I've got a shungite sphere on it, and
well, that looks like totally amazing.
Yeah, it's a cool little tool.
Wow.
Yeah. So now
I've seen the pyramid before. The pyramid is mind-boggling too, but I've seen it before, so this I haven't seen.
Yeah. The beamers are really cool. They're neat for doing different things. So when you hold this in your hand and you point it at a person, you give it intent. You tell it what to do. There's going to be a beam of energy that comes out of here. It's going to be pencil thin beam of energy. Some people can see it. If you can see energy, you'll be able to see it. When you can feel it, you can feel like something tracing over your hand. Okay, that's how strong it is. But when you add the shungite to it, go ahead.
Could you use that like to break down cancer cells or something like that?
Yeah. You can use it for anything. You name it, you can use it. As long as your intent is there and you know what to use it for. Cancer is something that you really got to be careful with because there's a lot of different things involved with cancers and cell multiplication and stuff like that. I've done a lot of research on DNA and how to work with that at the energy level, and you have to know what you're doing, otherwise nothing's going to happen. Okay?
What about the balls you talked about, the with the crosses in the...
Hold on, I'll get one of those.
Okay.
So here is one of the rings. This is how I got started with these tools. This is called a Divinity Ring. So basically, this is a gold one. You would hold it on top over somebody's head. And then there's a platinum one you put at the feet. Works the same way as a pyramid. You hold it over the person, you tell it what to do, and it happens. But these things are like a bulldozer, okay? I've made people pass out by working with these. I made myself pass out once working on myself. When you use the pyramid, it's a much subtler energy, but much stronger energy because it works in a different dimension. Okay, it's much like working with a feather, like a 1,000-ton feather. It's so nice and easy. The energies are nice and smooth. Where these rings, bang! Look out! It's like getting hit in the head with a 2x4 sometimes.
So what do you use the rings for? Give me an example of a case where you would use them.
Anything. Removing a virus, removing an entity, removing anything. This same thing I would use the pyramid for, I would use the rings for. Okay. Now, the neat thing with the rings, you can get them in a smaller size. Okay, here's a smaller one. So you can carry these with you. And you've got a pain bar, you can put your hand within the rings and get rid of pain. You can charge your food with them, basically anything you want.
Right on. Well, maybe I'm going to have another treatment with you to see about using the rings and using the other thing, that beautiful pointy thing.
Beamer. Now, what you can relate the beamer to is if you go into a lot of crystal stores, that they have a lot of what do they call them? It's going to be a crystal with a bunch of crystals inside it. And they're going to sell for $300, okay? So that is the same thing, okay? Any kind of crystal wand, that's the word, wand. Right. So you can buy these crystal wands, and it's going to do, have the same type of use, but with the beamer, because the way it's made and what it's charged with just goes to a completely different quantum level than just by using a crystal wand. So the beamers are cool, and they're not very expensive, and they work.
I want to remind my listeners that the number to call in is 347-688-2902. I mean, I'd like to keep talking to you for a little while so you could describe more about your work before we have somebody call in to receive help from you. If nobody calls in, I'll do it, or Nick will do it, so we'll get a little bit of a treatment on the air. But you said that you also work with chakra systems and different systems of the body. Can you talk more about that?
Well, the chakra system, the aura, it's all part of your body. Now, for those people who aren't very knowledgeable about what a chakra system is, we've all had heartbreak where you're in love with somebody and then that relationship breaks up and you got this pain in your heart. It just hurts right here like you wouldn't believe, and it's a pain you can't describe, but everybody's felt it. That's that heart chakra closing up because it doesn't want to get hurt again. So it's closing right up. For a lot of people who are under a lot of emotional stress and that type of thing, they've had a lot of rejection. That heart chakra is going to stay closed, so they're never going to love again. So they're at a certain level, so that they're not going to get hurt again. So working in the chakra system is very important. The chakra system is the batteries for the aura, which is the energy outside your body. Okay. So having the chakras perfectly aligned is very crucial for a health problem. But a chakra a lot of people don't know about or work with is the zero chakra. Some people call it the 15th. I work with it as the zero. The zero chakra exists a foot below your feet. It's a grounding chakra. If that chakra is out of balance, you can cause a polarity issue where a person could be bipolar possibly, or the energy isn't running properly in your body. So if your car isn't grounded properly, when you hit the horn, the brake lights are going to go on. So it can cause a disruption. So the chakra system is very important to work with. Can cause energy blockages. If you have a pain in your elbow, if you open up the chakra here, then the energy can move and the pain will go away, kind of thing. The aura. Now, the aura is, I think, one of the most complex areas of your body. And if you're a person who practices, let's say, Reiki or quantum touch or something like that, you're taught that the aura consists of the causal body, the physical body, emotional body, etheric body, astral body. So there's 5-7 different bodies. In the aura, I work with, 24. I work with about 50 different bodies, and there's also many different spiritual and light bodies within that. So, I consider the soul as part of the aura, as part of your energy. I work within the higher self. The dark matter in your body is very important. So there's many, many different areas that I work with. For people who have trouble manifesting things, now we can all manifest. So there's the crystal body, and there's also the morphogenetic body. Morphogenetic, am I saying that right? So those two areas are where we manifest. So if there is a disrupt or negative energy in there, you may have trouble manifesting what you want. A la the secret or the law of attraction may not work very well for you if those bodies are clogged up.
Oh boy, you're just going to get me on a rant right now with the law of attraction, because I had a friend send me a video the other day. Excuse me for interrupting, but I need to talk about this. And the video was all about, how the law of attraction works and how we are getting what we really want. And even if we don't think we really want it, that our soul really wants it. So, of course, this video really pissed me off, because what I'm seeing in the world right now are infants, for example, being genitally tortured and mutilated before they're 8 days old. I'm seeing children ending up in pedophilia rings, and women being raped, all kinds of really dark, bad stuff that the law of attraction would encourage us to blame the victim for that. So children who are being genitally tortured must have attracted that, and the ones who are in pedophilia rings also attracted that. And I can't sit with it.
No, you know what? For me, I mean, there's so many different theories and opinions about why this happens, why that happens. I'll kind of relate to it a little bit. Everybody knows about Louise Hay. Wonderful person. Love her to death. And she says that everything is an emotional problem. Yes, to a point. Dr. Joel Wallach says everything is a mineral problem. Yes, to a point. I work with lots of minerals, and minerals are very important. You look at Hulda Clark. Okay, everything is a parasite problem. She's right, because I work with parasites. But not everything. These three different people have their thoughts that, it's an emotional problem. No, it's a mineral problem. No, it's this. There's so many different opinions that if you listen to all of them, you'd be so confused. Okay, so what I always say is the way you think is very important. You have to think heart, mind. Don't think with your mind over your heart. Then you've got ego involved. Okay, so you have to, if you've got your own personal problem happening, you have to put all that stuff aside, okay? If one person says, take vitamin D, it worked for me, you're going to go take vitamin D. Is it going to work for you? Probably not, because it helped them, not you. Everybody's different. So think with your heart, over your mind, and you'll know if it's the right thing to do. My wife and I had a baby 18 months ago, lovely little kid named Joshua, okay? And the decision comes up, do we circumcise? And right here, it didn't feel good. So I says, no, we're not going to. Decision made. So when you talk about, I know I got off topic a little bit, but when you talk about what is and what isn't, why is it like this? It's generally not going to be within somebody's law of attraction that they attracted to be abused, as a child or whatever. Sometimes it's just bad luck. Okay. Sigmund Freud said it best. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Okay. If you're born into this way of life, and that's the way they do it when young females are circumcised at a certain age, that's the way things are. You're born into that. So sometimes there is karma from other past lives that bring you to this. Sometimes it is something that is in your soul contract. Sometimes it's just dumb luck that you were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, it's an interesting question. I know when I have a thyroid problem, and when I looked in Louise Hay's book, it said something like this. It said, I never get what I want. When is it going to be my turn? And that really resonated for me. And then something else happened very recently to bring into my awareness how much I really feel, and these feelings have been just below the surface of my awareness, that the Creator does not want to give me anything that I want, that the Creator will not give it to me, and it's never going to be my turn. These are deep-seated feelings based on life experience. When you grow up with abuse, it's hard to have a belief system that there is a loving force out there. So I think a lot of it is emotional. A lot of it is based on past trauma, and it affects how we manifest and what we manifest.
100%, and I don't disagree at all. But to say everything is an emotional problem is a bold statement. But I always find an emotional component. Okay, the whole problem is an emotion, but so the emotion is a component, just like there is an entity that could be involved as a component. So in most of my clients, yes, I do find the emotion that needs to be pushed out of the way so that we can get to the real problem. So it is a component. Now, we're all given free will, okay? So if we believe that we have nothing coming to us, then we're going to have nothing coming to us. If you want the world and get a city, bonus. But you have to realize we do have free will. We can change whatever we want, whenever we want.
Well, thank you. So it doesn't really require consciousness in terms of being aware of what the emotional issue is, or?
It helps to know what it is, because then you can have that little aha moment, okay? And know, okay, that is part of it. So now you can say, I can let go of that because I know what it is, okay? Now let's go on a little bit more about the law of attraction thing, okay? There's lots of work that was done on it, lots of books written. If you write it on a board, your dream board and stuff like that, put it up, yeah, it's going to happen. But here's my take on the whole law of attraction, okay? We all have spirit guides, okay? Some have 10, some have 15. I got about 650, I think. But generally, these guides are the ones who lead you to what you want. Okay, they guide you to what you want. We can have a parking lot guide before you get to the store. Say, guide, find me a good parking spot. And all of a sudden there's a parking spot there for you. We'll find you a good park. Anyways, so if you want something, okay, I want the perfect job for me. I want a job where my bosses are not idiots. I want a job that pays well. I want a job with good benefits and all that good stuff. These guides are going to find it for you, but you know what? If you offer your guide something, they're going to be more prone to get it for you. So for me, if I want something, if I want a specific answer, I'll offer my guides a musical note. I'll offer my guides a poem. I'll offer my guides a compliment. Something like that. Now, think back to when you were a kid. You went to a wishing well. You wished for something. What'd you do? You threw in a penny. You made an offering to your guides for your wish to come true. Okay? Birthday cakes. You're blowing out a candle. You're giving a contribution to your guides because you made a wish. You blew out the candles. You made a contribution. You put out a flame. Okay? So think of the law of attraction that way. Simple it down to something really easy that you can be comfortable with and know how it works. If you're confused on how something works, it's not going to work.
It's interesting to me because I had a friend talk to me about this blowing out the candle thing, you know, and that it's like blowing out our life force. We make a wish and then blow out the flame, and it's kind of like saying we're not going to get the wish. So there's a lot of different ways to look at this, but as you can see, the negative thinking is really critical, and you have some information about the negative thinking and about things like voodoo. Like, what are the reality of these things?
Oh, okay. The whole negative thought, voodoo, black magic, witchcraft realm, okay? I have a client in Florida I've been working with extensively, and she is under a black magic voodoo attack. They know the person who is doing it. They have information that this person is she's had 14 different kids from 14 different men and has used some of the babies as sacrifices. It's mind-boggling. So for me to work with this, I got to do research on it. And when I do research, I mean my guides go and they find out all about this realm, okay? Because it is a realm. So what I have found is that all types of witchcraft, voodoo, black magic, negative thoughts, and I'll get on negative thoughts in a second, it all happens within the 7th dimension, okay? We are here in the 3rd, and we are straddling to go into the 5th, okay? The Earth is ready to ascend to go into the 5th dimension to a higher level of consciousness. We can talk about that later if you like. But when we dream in the 6th dimension. The 7th dimension is where all the voodoo, black magic, and all this stuff happens. So when I'm working on a person, they got a health problem, let's say in your thyroid. So let's say it's a virus in your thyroid. Why is it in your thyroid and not in your brain or your stomach or your lower intestines or something? Why in the thyroid? Because that thyroid is in the 7th dimension on an energy level. So now all these negative guides, and I call them the army of darkness. So the dark guides, that's what I refer to them as. When I remove them out, I call them the army of darkness. Okay, they need a label. Okay. So by taking that thyroid out of the 7th dimension and intending it to come back to the here and now I can work on the thyroid because I'm not working in the 7th dimension, I'm working in the 5th dimension, so now I can work on it. And when I use my pendulum, the answer is clean and clear exactly what the problem is. So for a lot of people who have big issues working with, 50 treatments and nothing's happening, that's what we have to do is pull in those areas out of the 7th. So what I used to do, here's a quick story about voodoo and how it works and how real it is. My wife's uncle, we're out at the campsite, and he says to me, hey, I want to see what you do. So I brought my charts with me. I brought my rings with me. He says, okay, so what kind of health problems you got? He says, you know what? Every night before I go to bed, I get this pain in my shoulder blades. And it's only when I go to bed, and I can't sleep at night, and in the morning when I'm out of bed, it goes away. I said, okay, let's have a look. And I use my pendulum, and it comes up voodoo. It's like, okay, you got a voodoo curse. He goes, looks at me and says, what? He goes, oh, wait a minute. That damn ex-wife of mine, they've always been like this. They've always been heads, okay? So that's a negative thought. Okay, when she's always thinking negative, now if somebody's got enough dark guides within them, enough dark energy, when they think bad about a person, it will affect that person on a health level. I removed the voodoo curse from him. I just held the rings over his head and said, eliminate, lift, and delete the voodoo curse from the body. And it went away. He felt a little whoosh. And what I did, do a voodoo curse or black magic, is you return it to sender ×3. So I did that.
So, Chris, do you want to finish up your story there about this, voodoo, people are like making dolls of other people and sticking pins in the dolls.
Another story, my neighbor, he's the head of IT of all the hospitals out here, and I was telling him about this stuff, because he's very intelligent, and you want to know what I'm doing now with my life, so we're talking about voodoo, and he says, you know what, I believe that. He says, I went to see my dad the other day. His parents are split up, and his neck is out to here. It's like huge, and he can hardly breathe. It's cutting off his airway, and the doctors can't figure it out. So he went to see his mom, and he looks on the bulletin board, and there's a picture of his dad with a pin stuck in his neck. Okay, and he looked at her and says, "Mom, God, you're killing Dad." He pulled the pin out, and all of a sudden he got better. So that intent went into the pin, went into the guy's neck. And it made that big of a difference. I've got personal experiences with old girlfriends working with a negative thought. Okay, so there's a bad breakup, and of course they don't want you to have sex with anybody else. So all of a sudden, Mr. Happy doesn't work anymore. Okay, so that's all negative thoughts. That thoughts are energy. Thoughts are transmitted. It's negative. It hits you, and it causes destruction.
It's more than negative thoughts. I mean, it's like turning your thoughts into, it's witchcraft, yeah? It's a form of witchcraft in a very dark form of